And everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Caged Instincts, where we talk about the mysterious, supernatural, weird, disappearances, crime, whatever you can imagine here on YouTube. My name is Heather, and today we are talking about one of America's most haunted highways located right here in Florida. This one all Floridians know and have actually come to respect is Interstate 4, right outside of Orlando. I-4 stretches 132 miles across Florida, but the place that we're going today is just north of Orlando, passing over Monroe Lake. You may have driven this highly congested area going to Disneyland without ever knowing who could have been riding in your back seat with you. In 1870, Henry Sanford sold the southern shore of Monroe Lake to immigrants and farmers. Henry sold 640 acres to 4 German families who established the St. Joseph's Catholic Colony. However, just a year later, one of the families had fallen victim to the yellow fever epidemic. The rest of the colonists began to worry about the virus spreading, so they quickly took the bodies to the woods and burned them. They were buried with no ceremony or last rites. In 1890, the colony developed into Lake Monroe when D.V. Warren had bought the land for farming. He built his farm around the graves to ensure they remained untouched, and over time the markers were erased by nature. In 1905, Warren had sold the land to Albert S. Hawkins. Hawkins had built his house on the corner of the property and decided he was going to lease the rest of the land to farmers on the condition that they do not disturb the graves. I bet you can see where this is about to go. One farmer ignored this silly request one day and decided that he was going to take down the small wire fence protecting the graves. That very same evening, his house was burned to the ground. Hawkins, too, went against his own rule and removed the wooden markers on the gravesite. His house was also a victim of fire that very same night. Now see, Hawkins' wife was a smart woman, as we all are. She was convinced that the reason for the house burning down was because he had removed the markers and demanded that he replace them immediately. However, it didn't end for Hawkins there. Once their new house was built, they started experiencing strange phenomena involving the toys in their house. Rocking chairs would rock by themselves, toys would roll across the floor as if someone was playing with them, and his neighbor had even told him that he had seen several balls of light hovering around the gravesite. Locals would then come to call the farm the Dead Land. In the 1950s, a boy was seen digging around the gravesite and disturbing the markers. On his way home, he was hit and killed by a drunk driver. The driver was never identified, and he was never caught. 1959 was the fateful year that the government bought the property for the sole purpose of building I-4. They talked about relocating the graves. However, surveyors said that they were old and it was faster and less money to just build over them. An engineer was even quoted saying, "It's not an ancient burial ground, it's just some old bones." Yeah, that's a real good way to piss off some spirits. In 1960, construction had begun on the interstate. Now, this is where things start to get really weird. The very day that construction had started pouring dirt on top of the graves to level the interstate, Hurricane Donna was demolishing everything in her path in southern Florida headed towards the Gulf. When out of nowhere, with no warning, it turned and headed to the exact spot of the graves. How exact, do you ask? Well, at midnight on September 10th, 1960, the eye of the hurricane was directly on top of the graves. This unexpected road bump delayed construction of I-4 for over a month. In 2004, Hurricane Charlie decided it was going to take the same route as Hurricane Donna. Construction just so happened to be going on the very same day when Charlie decided to take its turn and head to the exact spot of the graves. This small area is known to Floridians as the Dead Zone, which is actually a pretty fitting name given the incidences we're about to run down. The first day I-4 was opened, a tractor-trailer carrying seafood lost control unexpectedly and jackknifed directly over the graves. Since 1963, there has been roughly 1,500 to 2,000 accidents, with many involving death. Between 1999 and 2006, there were 440 accidents, and between 95 and 97, there was 44 accidents with 65 injured. Someone had made the connection that 44 plus 65 equals 109, which it had been 109 years since that family died. I know. That's pretty creepy. Cell phones, CBs, and radios mysteriously go dark with no signal. White lights zigzagging right above the road. I didn't even know the lights were a thing until researching this. But I got really creeped out because I had actually seen them on the way to my brother-in-law's house. Yeah, I thought it was a little weird. I thought maybe it was a light reflection, but I also jumped to UFO. Pretty sure it was UFO. And then I read this, and it was pissed off German ghosts. Yeah. People have reported disembodied voices as well as growling and snarling coming through their radios. Cops have been called on scene where people have seen a car crash or driving erratically only to show up to see that there's nothing there. Shadow people, ladies in white, and hitchhikers have also been seen on the side of the road. And the creepiest one for me is people looking in their rearview mirror only to see somebody sitting back there, but when they turn around, nobody's there. Some even claim to have an unseen force take control of their vehicle. Could it be a really good legend? Could it be stories fueled by people's fear of driving at night? Or is it really someone or something that doesn't want you on their land? Think about that next time you're driving down I-4. That's it for today's stories, guys. Thank you for stopping in for my very first episode here on the channel. I really appreciate all the support. And if you liked it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, as well as that bell icon so you know the next time I upload a new story. If you guys have any stories of your own you'd like me to cover, go ahead and message me on my Instagram up there in the description or comment right down below, and I will see you guys on our next episode.